Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get better at almost everything they try? They enjoy the process, they improve fast, and it seems to come effortlessly to them, while other people are either naturally good at something or they're not. It has nothing to do with talent. I want to talk to you about something called fixed versus growth mindset. You may have heard of these terms before, or you may not have, but stay to the end because I'm going to share something about fixed and growth mindsets that most people never consider, and once you become aware of it, it will enable you to improve absolutely any area in your life. Now, there are two fundamentally different ways people relate to their inability. The first is a fixed mindset. If you have a fixed mindset about something, you believe your ability in that area is carved in stone. You're either a natural or you're not. Every challenge becomes a test of whether you're innately good at the thing or maybe it's not for you. This can be initially helpful if you believe you're good at something and your early experiences with that thing confirm your belief. You create a strong, fixed image of yourself as competent in that area. The problem is though, there will come a day when, inevitably, your performance doesn't match up to that self-image, and the whole belief will be shattered. If you carry the fixed mindset with you, you'll believe you're no longer good at the thing, and there'll be additional pressure based on past performance and this image you should be living up to. It'll be a terrible experience, and probably your enthusiasm for the activity will greatly decrease. And of course, the obvious problem with a fixed mindset, when you think that you're bad from the beginning, that you've never been good at it, is that will be your experience too, and you'll believe you can't change. And you'll have no incentive to even try to change, because why bother putting time and energy into something that's simply not for you? It's very powerful because failure isn't a simple setback or a bad day, and certainly not a tool which can be used to improve. It becomes a verdict on you as a person. Fixed mindset people avoid things they might fail at. They stick to what they already know. They'd rather look capable than risk looking stupid. The moment something gets hard, they interpret that difficulty as a sign that they're just not cut out for it, and they stop, and they tell themselves a story about why it was never for them anyway. What's particularly pernicious about this is the smarter someone is, the worse it can be, because smart people are used to things coming easily, and when they don't, they lose interest. The second way people relate to their abilities is through a growth mindset. Growth mindset people believe something completely different. They believe ability is developed through effort, through repetition, through feedback, learning, and most of all, enjoyment. They believe that struggling with something hard just means they're in the process of learning it, and they love the struggle because it means they're growing. So they lean into the difficulty. They seek it out. They take feedback without taking that personally. They seek people out who are better than them rather than avoiding them. They get curious about what they're doing differently rather than feeling threatened by them. And because of that, their skills compound. Every hard thing they push themselves through makes the next thing more manageable. Over months and years, the gap between them and fixed mindset people becomes extraordinary. Now, this isn't personality. It's not something we're born with. The psychologist Carol Dweck spent decades researching this. And what she found is that when people simply understand the difference between the two mindsets and start to catch themselves operating from a fixed mindset, they begin to transform. So the mindset itself is a belief, and beliefs can change. They're malleable. So here's what I promised you at the beginning, the thing that most people don't consider. When people hear about fixed versus growth mindsets, they tend to think of it like a personality type, like you're either one or the other across the board, like it's fixed, but it's not. You can be completely growth-minded in some areas of your life, open, curious, happy to learn, and completely fixed in others. Operating from a belief that you formed years previously, possibly decades ago, that you've never questioned, it can be so subtle that you probably won't even know it's there. Let me give you my own example. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, I remember being in an art class where we had to draw something. It was probably my first attempt at drawing in that setting, in that classroom. I remember it was my first art class at that new school, and I could do a whole other video on the effect of the classroom setting has on our mindsets and enthusiasm to learn and grow, but that's for another day. But the point is, what I drew was terrible. Other than the diabolical drawing, I don't remember what else led me to this conclusion, but I do distinctly remember thinking, I'm no good at art, I can't draw. There and then I gave up on art, and I was completely fine with it. I had lots of other interests and things I enjoyed. I think I hadn't enjoyed doing that drawing, so it just sort of decided that it wasn't for me. Ever since then, I tell people I can't draw, I'm no good at art. It was my narrative. It was my self-image around artwork and drawing in particular. Then a while back when I was reading Carol Dweck's book, She references Betty Edwards and drawing on the right side of the brain. Betty's entire premise was that she could teach literally anyone to draw, not just improve. She could teach them from zero to learn to draw. And something about that just really cut through. And immediately I flashed back to that art lesson, decades previously. All my adult life, I genuinely believed I just couldn't draw and I never would be able to. I used to play a game called Telestrations at Christmas. It's like Pictionary meets Chinese Whispers. And I would get absolutely mocked, and rightly so, by my own family. I couldn't even tell what it was supposed to be if I didn't already know. So the drawings were terrible. And when I read this about Betty, I realised that I had just fixed a belief that I couldn't draw. It never occurred to me to question it. It just felt like a fact about me, like my height and my eye colour. Once I saw it for what it was, my ability to draw radically changed. I stopped telling myself I couldn't draw and started treating it as a skill that I could learn. And I went from completely embarrassing to completely acceptable. No dramatic effort, just a different relationship with what I decided was possible. Now, obviously, I'm not the next Van Gogh, and that's not the point. The point is that I gave myself a fixed mindset about drawing at the age of 7 or 8, and it took me 30 years to realise what I'd done. And it makes me wonder, and it should make you wonder too, where else do we do that? What's something in your life that you filed under not for me because you tried it and couldn't do it on that occasion, or you just decided somewhere along the way that you weren't that kind of person? I'd love to know. Drop a comment below. What's something you've always believed you were either brilliant at or completely incapable of? And based on what you just heard, do you think it might actually be something you could improve if you approached it differently? Because you see, now I believe that anyone is capable of anything they put their mind to. Obviously, you might not have the desire. You may not want to develop that skill, and that's fine. But if you did want to, then you could. This is Sam J. Malloy reminding you that everything happens by law.